Find a passion that you love and pursue it relentlessly, because you only have one life, so you don't have the opportunity to waste it. So we're here today doing what we love. Why don't you find what you love, and why don't you make love to what you love? My name is Micah Sims, son of Buddy and Morley Sims, 10th of 12 children. I was born in Los Angeles, California, and I grew up in Pomona, California. I attended Gary High School in South Pomona, class of 1981. My first job, I threw the newspaper for the Progress Bulletin, which was a local newspaper. My career employment, I was employed by the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. I worked for them for 29 years, and I was introduced to that profession because I was a criminal justice major in school, and upon finishing school, I needed to obtain employment, so I joined working for the state. I initially entered into the profession as a corrections officer working at San Quentin State Prison, and eventually I became a parole officer through promotions, and I was a parole officer until I retired. Wow, my retirement day was February 14th, year 2015, and the first day after my retirement, I really just slept in, and I enjoyed not having to actually do anything. So I think I just got up after sleeping in, ate me a very hearty breakfast, and I think I stayed in pajamas the whole day. It's so important to have a plan for retirement after your working days have concluded, because so many people are enslaved by their employment. They don't have a plan for their life. They're unsure regarding what they're going to do after they quit working, because they identify their importance according to their employment. So the thought of them not being employed many times causes people to be fearful. Oh, my typical day is great. I wake up early in the morning. It's just an old habit that I still think has value in it. And I get started. I usually check my mail, see if I have any mail electronically, and I get prepared for school. I developed my hobbies way before I was prepared to retire. I had been a youth track coach throughout my employment, and I also took various classes in the filmmaking industry, which is something that I've always been interested in. I wanted to explore filmmaking as long as I actually could remember. I grew up in an area where it just wasn't offered, but I always had a love for the arts and for creating art. And I think filmmaking is so important because it allows us to capture the times in which we live, and it also allows us to immortalize our family members, where succeeding generations can look back and they can actually see the reason why their nose or their mouth look a certain way. And so that's important to me, to be able to capture history for succeeding generations. A day in the life of a filmmaker starts very early. I usually get up early, like I stated, and I have to check all the equipment that we're going to be using that day. I have to ensure that everything is correct, because usually I travel to go out on different shoots. But a day in the life of a filmmaker starts very early and it ends very late. I'm currently working on my 4th film. I've made 3 previous films, and I've also created some commercials and infomercials. My very first film, I had the honor and pleasure to be able to actually film my 14-year-old son, Joshua, and to be able to do a short film with him, and to be able to capture that moment that when he turns my age, which will be several decades from now, and he'll be able to look back and he'll be able to remember the day that him and his dad went out and shot that film. I've had succeeding films where I've been able to also capture films and make short films with other friends and family members of mine. So I'm really excited about my prospects in the filmmaking industry. Anyone preparing to retire, I would give them definitely this advice. Ensure that 5 years before you are retired, that you do not take on any additional debt. Ensure that you pay off all existing debt as much as you can. And also really start thinking about what you always wanted to do, because you're going to have the time. If you stay healthy and if you're mentally sharp as well as physically strong, you're going to have the time and the opportunity to really pursue your passions like I'm doing. So I would suggest to people to pay off their debt, do not take on any existing debt, and really look towards something that you've always wanted to do and to pursue it with your whole heart, because there's nothing holding you back. My name is Micah Sims, and I'm clocking in after retirement.